It is Saturday, the 4th of October, 2025. Excuse me. And I did some canning today of soup. So I was in the garden, picked a bunch of tomatoes and squash, etc. And I made a tomato squash parmesan soup. I also added in avocado oil and salt, pepper, Himalayan salt, not table salt, garlic. So yeah, it was pretty good. I haven't given an update in a little bit regarding the Charlie Kirk assassination. And I will say, please, I encourage people to take a look at my older videos on this. I will say that I have been the most accurate in my assessments of this than anyone to date. And so it will dispel a lot of rumors and conspiracy theories out there if people look back to my older works. And so before I get into an update that I made, let me see, when was this? Like very early on the 15th of September. So just after a few days. Um, there's things coming out now more and more that are reconfirming things that I was saying from the beginning. Even with, for example, regarding the autopsy, there's more confirmation now that there was an autopsy. I was saying that from the beginning. I said the dispatch audio clip that I've shared, and that I even showed with people on my live video. I was going through Grok and assessing and analyzing the video through Grok and other AI software programs as well. And yeah, so it didn't line up to me, and so for so many different reasons. But anyway, so this was from last week. This is a message because there was a bunch of people. There were a bunch of people that were reaching out to me, but one in particular, he works as an international security analyst type as well. And there were people, again, even on the highest levels of government, that they're throwing these crazy conspiracy theories out my way, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, it's just it's very interesting how, like, from the palm guns that I debunked, to the pistol in the crowd, to the rear shot, to the bush, to multiple shooters, to Charlie Kirk still being alive, if I hadn't already said that, to you name it. And anyways, even the body armor versus non-body armor. He was not wearing body armor, even though he had on many, during many periods where he was doing these debates and events. So anyway, so this was just after I got back from like a long weekend, and I did not have any internet connection, and so it's almost 9 minutes long. But this was last week, uh, that I was sharing this as a summary before Lauren, the mortician, was talking about this with Charlie Kirk, etc. I just got back from don't know if you just outside of Sudbury. I was camping on a lake for a couple of days. It was nice. It's exhausting, and I didn't have any internet reception, so I'm trying to catch up. I have done so much research into the incident regarding Charlie Kirk, and I don't even know where to start. I also have a background with firearms. I have a 30-06. I'm a hunter. My family are hunters. I shared the video with like a few people that I know from, like, shoot a lot and have, but like not just like firearms, like law enforcement stuff. I'm talking about actual hunters, and we talked about it, and for people to say that like his neck would have blown off, like I can tell you that would not happen with a 30-06 at that range, at that angle, and with where it impacted Charlie Kirk, and so there is fragmentation that's possible. It's I think it's like there's a 20 to 30% chance of fragmentation with soft point bullets. So if it was FMJ, I don't, maybe, but and then there would definitely be an exit wound. But with soft point, the likelihood in soft tissue and things like that, it goes through. But once it hits things like vertebrae, like the spinal cord, for example, and bone, it can actually like shift and fragment. And so, like I said this like a while ago, like on a video though, and my videos are long, but that I think that what happened was, I do think it was an entrance wound that on the left hand side. I've looked compulsively at his body movements going through it, and it's very clear to me that he's being pushed in the like where the impact is happening. Like he's moving, shifting his shoulders, and then automatically, because of that, being like pushed back or jolted back, his head naturally moves forward, right? So like if you just move back in your chair, like let's pretend that you were hit in the neck, your neck is going to do the same natural movements, and so I think what happened, and I've said this since like early on, is that I do think it was entrance wound. I didn't know. Again, I didn't know if it was like shrapnel, like, and even that didn't make sense to me, or some kind of ricochet. I don't think it was the like an exploded mic. I've showed videos of that as well, like frame by frame, that the mic doesn't explode. It doesn't explode, and what you see in the back, like his necklace does break off, and I've shared that as well with people, and I have witness accounts of people that I have verified actually were at the event, and even an executive protection guy, bodyguard, that did work details with the Daily, well, whatever, Turning Point USA, whatever it was that Charlie Kirk worked for. And so he had done security for Charlie Kirk and with others. And so the thing with the surveillance camera, I would have done the same thing to secure the evidence, just because it was, still like an active, like essentially like an active shooter on the loose. And then people could be shitty, and I wouldn't want people within the crowds to get that surveillance, right? Like, people want to make a buck, and that'd be a lot of friggin' money. And so, should he have moved the chair? No, but in hindsight, right, that's me saying that, like, I'm armchair quarterbacking, whatever you want to say it. But, and so I'm talking fast with this, but where was I going with this? Yeah, because I'm super tired. I didn't really sleep the last 2 nights, and there was a lot of wine. Anyway, well, not last night. I had a glass last night. Where was I going with this? Yeah, so shot, angle, distance, and hitting what, like, the vertebrae. And so this is what, like, I forget where I got it, but this was like a little while ago. And so it went down, and it actually went into his heart, exploded his heart. And then went up, and I said that into his shoulder. And so I forget who it was. It might have been Alex Jones or something like that. And again, he's not as reputable as people, but he has contacts with people with, like, in that group, right? So, like, he did. I do think that that's a possibility, and that's why with the blood, like, there was a lot of blood gushing out, but it wasn't what people are saying with, like, the pump blood or whatever. It's because his heart had already exploded, and so, like, it was you know what I mean? And so, like, the blood wouldn't be pumping out because the heart was exploded. I think I said that 3 times. And redundancy with that. He wasn't wearing body armor. I did think at first, originally, that he was wearing it just because of the angle and positioning in some of the videos I saw in the chair. But then I saw nipplage and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, no, definitely not. He was not wearing it, but he's worn it in the past as well. So that's why, like, I immediately assumed that he was going to be wearing it as well for that event. And let me see here. Yeah, and so, like, the movement of his body, and I even shared a video of a deer getting shot at even closer range. Like, I think it was like 80 yards or 100 yards or something like that. So, like, essentially half the distance that Tyler Robinson was firing at, and not at an angle, like, straightforward. And it hit the deer. It went in, and and there was no huge, like, head blown off or any of that stuff. And so, like, and I went frame by frame with that as well. And so, there are people that are talking really big talk online. It's really frustrating me. Not frustrating me, but like Valhalla and this guy that just went on redacted and stuff like that. They're leveraging their firearm experience, like sports shooting, or with their careers in law enforcement or in the military. And they say, yeah, I have firearms and stuff like that. But I'm getting more and more convinced that they actually haven't gone shooting or hunting rather. And
that's just me calling out some guys online.
What they're coming out with. And so I would like to see in videos now of these guys like Valhalla and these guys are redacted who you just. I would like to see videos of them actually going hunting for deer or for a human, well, not an actual human. I was going to say human-sized animal, but we are animals, so I don't want to say that. No shooting humans. Anyway, but yeah, and so I don't even know where to start.
Oh.
They want to be the first, but sometimes they get it wrong, it is what it is. And there was another important thing. Oh, yeah. Okay, and so for court, like, we're not going to be able to get the autopsy or anything before court because that's going to prejudice the jury. And so, if they make it where it's irrefutable evidence that it was Tyler Robinson, which they can very easily do, again, it's going to be unfair. There's going to be a bias, and it's something that the defense could possibly use against the prosecution to get this fucking asshole the death penalty. And but they can't do it, right? Because then it would be black and white. Like, if we got that autopsy report, because, like, what I heard, what was in it, it does make sense. And even with Candace getting the surveillance from the rear, from that security guard that acquired it, she said there was no exit wound, and so, like, that was another reconfirmation for me that it went down. It possibly fragmented in the vertebrae, went down 4 vertebrae, heart, shoulder. And that's where they were able to pick it up under the skin. They didn't specify where under the skin, from what I've gathered, for any of the reports I've seen. But again, there's different people reporting different things. But it said it was found under the skin, not found under the skin in the neck, right? And so that's where I think it was possibly the shoulder, left shoulder, obviously. And yeah, and so they can't prejudice the jury. And so there's just a lot of stuff they can't share yet, and it's for to make this an appropriate trial.
So I don't. It's been rare. Anyone that's been watching me for a few years, they know that I have like I don't even remember if I've ever shared a Signal chat message that I've had with multiple people over the years. And I used to give people like COVID update briefs, like Signal, and then just forward it to a bunch of people. So anyway, I didn't even realize I was ever going to share that. But that's just to say that that was posted. That was on Monday, so almost a week ago. And so before Lauren the Mortician or Stephen Gardner redacted any of these people, before they were saying anything, um, even without internet access for a lot of this as well. I was calling this what it was again since day one, and sharing a lot of good evidence to back up my claims. And so here is what will I share first? Because this was a good one. Bombshell mortician exposes Charlie Kirk autopsy. The key evidence everyone missed. She posted the video that got her on Stephen Gardner. It was posted 4 days ago, and so so this would have been Tuesday. So this was the day after. So this was the day after I had posted that telecommunication message on Signal, and so again, I wasn't getting my information from her. But again, I liked her information. It confirmed and corroborated what I already knew, or what I believed, based on my own analysis. And so it's kind of cool.
See, someone put out this clip, and my best guess was it was either AI or it happened earlier in the day, and whoever this dispatch person was didn't know that there was an autopsy.
And I debunked the audio, dispatch audio as well. Like again, immediately. As soon as it was said to me by multiple people, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to take a look at this. And I've done videos on this.
Now we know for a fact there's an autopsy. There was new documents out today saying that the medical examiner's report is pending the upcoming trial. Based on the injury that you saw as somebody that's around death and bodies, what was your initial reaction to this gunshot wound?
Oh, I think we all saw the footage by now, right? And when I saw that footage, in my heart of hearts, I knew that it was very instant for Charlie Kirk. I'm not a doctor. I do death. But just to see him slump over like that, and how quickly everything happened, and all of everything that went down, I've seen a lot of trauma to the body. And to me, in my heart, I knew that was pretty instant for him.
Yeah. And honestly, we talked about this off camera. We're both grateful. Like I would not. This whole thing's being a cover up. I had a feeling, based on the laws in Utah, that there was one. What led you to believe the now confirmed autopsy took place?
So for many years, I have done the job that the medical examiner, the transporter, I have been there for that job. And in the United States, any suspected homicide legally requires a coroner or a medical examiner autopsy. And so, having been hands-on with that job for so many years, been to homicides, suicides, car accidents myself personally, and done the transports, when I saw that information that had come out that said he did not have an autopsy, I knew it was wrong. And actually, it's kind of what made me pay a lot more attention to this, because when word spreads like that, it needs clarification, especially to the public, where they don't do death every day. And this was so public. Everyone saw what happened to him and Charlie Kirk's assassination. And I just immediately hopped on and thought, this needs clarification. And if there was no autopsy, this needs to be talked about, because that would not have been right.
Okay, yeah. For you would have been like, whoa, like the law was broken, right?
Yeah. I would have been like, okay, where's my tinfoil hat? I'm putting it on immediately, because this is not right, and I'm going to scream it from the mountaintop. But thankfully, I did have somebody from the medical examiner's office reach out to me. They wanted to stay anonymous. I did verify first, last name, was able to pull up articles to confirm that this person is who they say they are. And they thanked me for my video and said that he did 100% have an autopsy. So that made me feel a little bit better, because I thought I was going crazy over here thinking, this isn't right. This is if this audio is correct, which I don't think it is, because this would not be proper protocol. We need to talk about this. And so I was very, very grateful that they reached out and that they said something. But then at the same time, I really encouraged them to call the office and make a public statement, say something. This audio is going around. People are wondering what is going on. And I just really wish that they would have acted a little bit sooner on it. I mean, the governor of Utah, the medical examiner's office, I mean, they do this a lot. And if there's some sort of rumor going around, it could have been cleared up right away, but they chose not to. And I don't understand why.
Yeah. Now there's like a million rumors.
Yeah, now there's more. There's more, because now the public's general trust isn't. It's wavering. It's like, why aren't we being given this information? We all watched Charlie Kirk die in such a horrible and traumatic and public way. Not that the public is owed anything, but at the same time, we kind of are, because we are all emotionally invested, and this never should have happened. So I get everybody's on a learning curve and everybody's trying to figure out what to do, but at the same time, they know better. The medical examiner's office should have come out immediately, and I am disappointed that they did not.
Okay, I appreciate that insight. I heard somebody a couple of days ago that said no amount of iPhone video footage is replacement for good forensic science. So I figured there was a medical exam. I mean, how else would we have known the extent of the damage to the neck, where they found the bullet, the fragments, things like that? So with your experience with bodies and exams, what would have happened from the time he was pronounced deceased? How long until the examiner or the autopsy people take possession of the body, and then what would have been their first moves with figuring out the cause of death and the damage and looking for that bullet?
So this is a very high profile case, as you can imagine. And I got a lot of questions on the time frame because people want to know, how was he picked up so fast? How was he autopsied so fast? And how was he embalmed so quickly? And the truth of the matter is that they probably called the pathologist and called the team and said, we need you in here ASAP. We have the president on the phone. We have the vice president on the phone. They want this done now, and we need to move quickly. So my assumption is that everybody went into the office immediately, because for how quick of a turnaround time this was, they needed this done right away. So I think that once they left that hospital, and you can see the procession of the vehicles, I don't know if you've seen that video,
Yes.
But from experience, I know Charlie Kirk was in that black minivan because that was a funeral home removal van, followed by the medical examiner, escorted back to the office directly, which normally the medical examiner will just go home. But I think that this report needed to be written immediately. All the paperwork, all the documentation went straight for autopsy. And then the funeral home was contacted probably during that time, and pickup was done either almost immediately or right away in the morning. If autopsy was not done the same night, which in my heart of hearts, I believe it was, his would have been the first one in the morning. And as soon as the procedure is done, the whole medical procedure is done, we can pick up at the funeral home. I think that's something people don't quite understand, is that we coordinate directly with the investigator, directly with the medical examiner's office. And once that autopsy is done and they've collected the evidence that they need to from the body, it can take a couple hours, but we can be there immediately. I've had where they go right from the table, right to my cot, and then we load them in the van, we bring them right back to the funeral home, and we begin the embalming almost immediately.
Okay, wow, interesting. Okay, you made a really great point. The president of the United States, who loves Charlie Kirk, is saying, we want answers now. The governor is saying, we want answers now. But you have the law where it's like, this is a homicide. There must be an autopsy. And correct me if I'm wrong, you can't put a deceased body on an airplane if it's not embalmed. Is that correct? Of a gunshot wound.
So when they bring the body back, they do an external exam. They take pictures. They do all the documenting that they can before they do the internal exam. And what that involves, there's no metal detectors, but they do X-rays of the body that will reveal bullets, fragments, and trajectory before they do the dissection. Okay. Metal detectors are just too crude compared to imaging. We really want the imaging, especially in a murder investigation.
Would X-ray have been the main imaging? Because I would assume they avoid MRI because of metal, but is X-ray the number one?
Yes. Yep. And when you X-ray the body, it can also be helpful to them before they do any sort of dissection to know what they're looking for and where about the location of the wound and the fragments might be.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Is this idea of all these destroyed vertebrae, all of that would have shown up on the X-ray before they make an incision?
Yes. Yep. And the bone fractures for sure.
Okay, and then so the body is taken in, they do an X-ray. That bullet and the fragments that I've heard about, those would have been really shiny on the film, so they would know right where they were?
Yep. They would know right where they were so that they could remove them. And then they'll also use that imaging for evidence as well. Especially in a case like this where we have everyone questioning where the bullet came from, where the shot took place. Was it from behind him? Was it in front of him? There's a lot of conspiracy thoughts. I hate to say the word conspiracy because I think people they have big thoughts and big opinions and they just want to express them. And we're not being given a whole lot of answers at this time. So understandably, they have thoughts. So one thing I wanted to bring up to you, I didn't know if you know this, but Utah is actually one of the very few states that they don't have to release public records about autopsies.
Oh, okay.
So they could cherry pick what gets released. So if you have a contact at Turning Point USA, that might be I also have someone who sent me a message from Fox, and they have already tried to request autopsy documentation, and they were told no, that in the state of Utah, they do not release them to the public. So if we get information during the trial, or if whatever Turning Point USA decides to release, that will be the extent of what the public is given.
Let me ask you something. How much time do you spend every day on a web browser? How much time do you spend clicking, searching around, scrolling, typing, endless tabs? It's a lot, right? Consistent, lives and scroll, a lot more. Have to have Diet Coke. It's really, right now, you said not only would the imaging be used for ballistics and understanding the damage and the crime and the angle and the trajectory, but would they then try to follow the path of the bullet? Help from a criminal, what's the word? Criminology standpoint? I don't know what the right word is, but understanding the crime. How do they go about that? Like the imaging shows where the damage to the body is. It follows the path of the bullet.
Yep. So they'll bring in they'll do a trajectory analysis, is what it's called. So they trace the bullet path through the tissue. They may insert probes or rods so that they can get a definite where did this shot originate from. They go over the body with a fine-tooth comb, essentially, and that can involve those rods that you've probably seen on television, right, where they map out where the shooter could have been and the angle at which it came from. So that is all going to be determined by the autopsy, which is why I really hope and I really encourage, I don't know if someone will see this video from the medical examiner's office, but I think that if they released that information, even though I know they're not supposed to, or if Turning Point decided to shut down the rumors on was there more than one shooter, was there more, if they don't release that information to the public, I think it's just going to cause more unrest because people have theories and they want to know what happened.
Okay. So going back to those rods, this is the story we're being told. Occam's razor says the simplest answer is probably the most correct. Our understanding is Tyler Robinson or somebody on a roof at a high angle, but over to the side, 7 or 8 feet, but then you go back 149 yards. That bullet, you would think it would go through the meat of the neck and blast out the backside, but coming from a downward and then an angle, I hope I'm showing this right on camera, that bullet would have come in at an angle, and they're saying it crashed right into C2. Have you seen anything like that before, or is this kind of a unique situation?
This is definitely unique. When I initially saw that he had been hit in the neck, my heart had kind of told me that was intentional, because when I have had murder cases that I have personally worked, a lot of times you're going to find bullet wounds in the chest area because it's a much larger area that people are aiming point blank for. Head wounds I've seen, they're normally upward direction. For YouTube community guidelines, don't want to say that word, but yep, in an upward. And I have not seen a neck wound quite like this one. It's definitely unique, and I really hope that they take the extra time that's needed to trace the path of which it came from for sure.
Okay. I did some analysis. I've had other people say this to me, but okay, so the bullet comes in. It has to expend a large amount of energy in like a fraction of a second. You see Charlie's shirt go up. You see his neck and chest bulge. His chain with a cross snaps around his neck. Would that energy be the reason his heart was destroyed and the blood isn't squirting, but rather it's kind of coming out almost like a fountain?
Yeah. It shredded everything. It in my opinion, it shredded everything. And so when that happens, the body is a closed system. And when you shred the veins or the arteries, it will just pour out. And that's how I knew that there was no way they were going to save him, that along with the body language. But when that closed system is disrupted in such a way as it was for Charlie Kirk, the blood will just pour, and it will pour, and it'll only take a minute. And you can tell by the coloring how quickly it poured out. It was over pretty much initially, right as it happened.
Okay. Wow. These things are hard to talk about, but
they're important to talk about.
Yeah,
it makes people uncomfortable, but this never should have happened. And in order to prevent something like this happening again, we should be talking about it.
I agree. Well said. That's what I was trying to communicate, because it brings me no joy to talk about these, especially where, I interviewed Charlie a couple of times, and I know his wife is struggling with this. Million, I would say 100 million people watch this man be killed. It's probably we've never seen anybody killed like this in history because of just all of the cameras and all of that. But okay, so the exam then, I'm assuming during the trial, whether they show it to the public or not, there's going to be a lot of photography of his body from the autopsy, both externally and as they get deeper into his body.
Yes, there will be. A lot of states have very strict rules on photography of autopsies and releasing that information. I don't think we as the general public will ever see that unless somehow horribly it were to be leaked. I don't think that the general public needs to see that. But there will be imaging that was taken of his body externally, internally, and with the x-rays. They're going to have ballistic experts there 100% because they need people to build this case against Tyler Robinson or whoever if there's anybody else involved, they have to build their case to show without a doubt that this shot came from him.
Okay. What about, I was going to say, in addition to this, Turning Point USA, they had 3 cameras, at least 3 4K cameras on Charlie from the back, the
Wow.
back side and the front. All of those captured this horrible scene in 4K. I personally don't believe this will be shown to the public, but would that help with them understanding the injuries and the bodily damage?
Yeah, yes, it would 100%. And a lot of questions I got were, why would Charlie Kirk need an autopsy if we have him dying in 4K on camera and everybody saw it? Why would he need an autopsy? And even when something is filmed like that, the autopsy team will still watch the footage. So they will have wanted and requested that 4K footage as evidence. So I know that there was footage of a guy going and taking it down, and I do hope that that was collected for them, because they're going to be asking for it. Even the footage that went viral that got uploaded, they're going to watch all the different angles to make sure with 100% certainty that they can testify to the damage that was done, to how it ended his life. And it is a step-by-step process, but even though there's footage, they still have to do the full exam from the head all the way down, because they have to, and they also take, they do blood work. They see if there's any other, anything else in the body before that were to happen. And that's actually the part that can take the longest for autopsy results, is the blood work. And that can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. In a case like this, I think they're going to have the results sooner, but we probably won't know that as the public.
Okay. Yeah. I figure a lot of this is probably being held close to the vest because they're now trying to prosecute. They believe that they know what has happened. I saw a picture of Erica Kirk next to Charlie's body. He was in a coffin. It's kind of zoomed in, just showing his hands. How would they have put him back together to make him look presentable if this were to be an open casket situation?
So there is a lot of swelling that can happen after, I really only saw the footage of as it happened. And so I didn't personally get to see the after effects, but just based on what I could see and how much I was able to zoom in, because this is my job, this is what I do. And I like to think how I would have handled something like this as an embalmer. And there were some things that, fortunately for the family and the embalmer, where the injury occurred is on the non-viewing side of the casket. So when Erica walked up to the casket, I'm sure her eyes did go for that area naturally, but you would have to look for it. So that the embalmer did have that going for them. But because it wasn't a through and through, that might have made it a little bit easier for them to embalm the area, unless the autopsy team felt the need to fully dissect the area, which they could have. And when that happens, depending on the damage to the tissue around the neck and around the wound, we may need to fill it with tissue, with wax, with some sort of builder to reshape the neck so it looks again like a normal neck. And then we have certain sutures we can use to hide the opening, hide the incisions, and then we can use wax and then cosmetics. Based on how his hands looked in the casket, I was a little disappointed, only because he did look quite orange. The hands did look a little discolored, understandably. I mean, Charlie Kirk is no longer with us. So when I see the rumors of he's still alive, I looked at the photos of him in the casket and I could see his hands. And after now seeing all of the videos I have of him, those are his hands. I don't know how people can say otherwise, because you can tell I pay a lot of attention to detail. A lot of this job is art. It's attention to detail. And you can tell that those are his hands, his knuckles, his fingernails. You can even see down to that close of detail. And it's him. I think that the embalmer would have had to have spent a lot of extra time on the neck area, but it was definitely doable for an open casket.
Okay. I've never done an interview like this. Are there any questions that I haven't asked that would provoke information from you that you think my audience would benefit from hearing?
Another big question I get is what happened to his body?
Okay. Yes. What happened to his body?
We haven't been given any information for that, and understandably so, because
I have looked at her videos to see if she did any autopsy analysis on JFK. She has not done that yet, but I'd be very interested because she's now come to more popularity, especially since being on the Stephen Gardner show, and also because of reporting on Charlie Kirk for the last little while, and great videos that she's put together. So I highly encourage people to take a look at her work. And so, yeah, so there were the people that did the original autopsies that did say, they talked about the neck wound being an entrance wound, and then they later redacted to appease whatever they wanted to shape the people that were investigating this at the top, the JFK assassination, the Dulles brothers, LBJ, etc. And then they recanted years after that. Even a few years ago, there was another documentary that was done, and the doctors that, and I've shared their stories, and them even saying on the record that they believe it was an entrance wound, and they felt pressure to change their opinions, and anyways, and so yeah, so if she's listening to this, which she probably isn't, that'd be a good one. And so now on with what is his name, Graham Hughes? Yeah, Gray Hughes, sorry. Gray Hughes. All right, this has been circulating around as well. New footage coming out showing another shooter. Or sorry, not showing another shooter, showing Tyler Robinson in the crowd.
Hello, this is Gray Hughes of Gray Hughes Investigates on YouTube. Please hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe. Well, today's video, I'm going to be discussing a few different elements. First, we have a claim out there that this person in the background right here is Tyler Robinson. I mean, it's interesting to have a maroon shirt, etc. And you play it. If you move, scrub forward in the video, they're just back there, and they do have a backpack on. They've got the hat. They've got the maroon shirt. But we know that Tyler Robinson wasn't wearing those items just prior to the murder. He was actually wearing the dark shirt. So he does have a backpack. See him walking there, but that person has a lighter hat, and his hair is longer in the back. Can you see that? Like right there. That's kind of a poofy hair. Tyler Robinson doesn't have that. So they're just putting it out there and wanting people to get excited about it, but it has nothing to do with anything. In fact, the time frame here is 12/16, and we know that based on what law enforcement has put out in the probable cause document, that at 12:15 he's on the roof, and this person in the background here is actually heading in the wrong direction. So if you're taking a look at on Google Earth there, that is taking place right over here. That's right over there, and those people are being interviewed on this area right there, and that person's walking this direction. Well, the shooting took place over here at 12:23, and there's just it doesn't make any sense at all. The person, so Tyler Robinson came up these stairs at 12:15, jumped over this wall at 12:17, and then 5 minutes later got up and ran over to here. So it just doesn't make any sense given the timing of that person, nor does Tyler Robinson have long, poofy hair in the back. Yes, he does have, in other surveillance footage, he does have a maroon shirt. So if we go over to some of these shots over here, that's the one he had when he was heading in. But like this shot right there, he does have a maroon shirt, but a darker hat, and he does have a backpack, etc. But this just really isn't him back here. Okay, you can see it's a totally different person. But nice try, nice try to create another conspiracy theory. You just never know. Now, there's also new information out.
Okay, so there was a comment made on I'll see you in Valhalla, brother. So many people have shared that with me as well, where you'll see the background on Tyler Robinson's desktop screen, Valhalla. And I will say that for Kash Patel to say till Valhalla, or I'll see you in Valhalla, whatever he said, it's not uncommon in that industry, if that makes any sense. I'm talking about the security industry, right? Like with Kash Patel, not Charlie Kirk specifically. And so it's very common that people say that even in my community. I heard that a lot in the infantry with the Patricias. I heard that a lot again with use like in so many different communities. Since to the point to that as well, like I even have, and this is TMI, but even in my bedroom, I have a sign that says "Welcome to Valhalla," which is funny. It's an overshare, and so like, and I got that a lot longer than when Kash Patel said that, and so I am saying it's very common in certain groups. So to me, that didn't come across as unusual.
Out there,
I could be wrong
about Tyler Robinson being spotted at a gas station, and here is the surveillance of that gas station. And then down here at the bottom, it says at 7:17.
And people are saying even today, this is what I mean. I'm still getting people like giving me these wild stories. But anyways, I'm not saying anyone here on my comments are. I'm just saying like I'm getting messaged by so many different people saying that there was a squib, and I've done videos on that as well. And just the amount of blood that just came out as well, like that would not have been in a squib. That wouldn't have been obvious to the viewer, especially because again, people were going in just like myself, zooming in as close as we could possibly get and going frame by frame and seeing no indicators at all of a squib being used. And as someone that has experience using that, right? Like, so not only have I trained where I've simulated mass cast situations, including hiring amputees, even when I was doing those courses with Global Affairs and DART, etc., and fake blood, etc., to make it as realistic as possible. And so, yeah, and so I'm getting people that are sharing this information with me, but they again, they are people that have not had any experience at all in any industry that makes them the expert to be able to assess that, and not even giving me any screen captures or photos or images to even like show me where they see it. But there's just so much footage out there.
That is when this is being filmed on September 11th. Okay, so this is the next day. He may have stayed in Orem, Utah throughout the night and still wasn't able to retrieve his rifle and the blanket, so he took off. And he's only about 49 miles from St. George at this point, maybe 46 miles. And I believe this is a Maverick gas station. So if we go up in the air here, I think this is it. I think we're looking at the gas station about like that. You can see how there's an island over there. I think that's what you see right here. And you see the orange gas pumps, maybe rust color. And then you go down to here, and there you have it. Also, the areas right here that have been improved, or I guess repaired. You see there's a little square area right there, and then it goes out and then around. I think that's what you're looking at right here. This is the square area, and I think it's just really clear that this is the correct gas station, even though it wasn't listed in the article. So it was on Scribs News. So they actually got the footage here. So let's play that right now. So I'm zooming in on the time for you down in the corner. It's 2025, 9/11, and then 7/17/06. And then here comes his vehicle, the Dodge. Now, some people call it a Challenger. Some people call it a Charger. I keep hearing it over and over and over, different references to the vehicle. And here comes the vehicle right there. And you see the door opening up there. And I kind of zoom in so you can see. But there is Tyler Robinson with his maroon shirt and jeans. And it looks like he's wearing the same clothing he had on when he was at the Dairy Queen, apparently at 6:38 the night before. So there's nothing really incredibly, like, wow, look what he's doing. He's just getting gas. All right. So he pumps gas and then he pulls away, and then they cut the camera off just as he's turning the vehicle around. But, it's interesting just seeing him. And now we know that he stayed overnight over there. So those text messages between him and his boyfriend were likely, obviously in between that time frame. And so the law enforcement knows what time their text message exchange took place. I think, when you put all the information together, Tyler Robinson, I think this is just an absolute open and shut case. He has absolutely almost zero chance of getting off unless there was some egregious way that evidence was collected and somehow they get a bunch of stuff thrown out, all the surveillance footage, all the text messages, and all that stuff gets tossed out. But then you still have his parents who recognized him. If you can throw that out too, then maybe he'd have a chance. But I don't think I've ever seen a stronger case in my life. So there he is, just still pumping gas over there. He's obviously filling up his car right about here. All right. Now, tonight on my show, I had Adam Bartholomew. Prior to him coming on, he's the guy that went around and filmed that hour-long, during the shooting and after, walking around, etc. That a lot of the conspiracy nutters have taken every single frame and turned it into the greatest conspiracy since mankind. But it was great having him on. I think we're pretty like-minded, and it was really interesting having him on the show. But prior to him coming on, I had taken different still frames from his filming, walking around, and I think you'll find this kind of interesting. So in this shot right here, that's where the shooter was, right up there. Tyler Robinson was up there. So, if you look, that's pretty far away. It's, it's 140 yards about, and the stage is just off here to the left. All right. Now, on Google Earth, that location is right here. So let's just go to each location. You'll see. So he's right down in there. And if you look up, that's exactly where the shooter was, right there on that corner. So going back to the image, right there, you see it's right up in there. And now we're back to Google Earth, right there, right up in there. Maybe his is a little bit higher up, but it's kind of like that, right? Now, image number 2 is this one. And again, you can see right up there, there is where the shooter was. And, these shots here are after the shooting. So he's long gone. He's already got off the end of the roof by this point. All right, now let's take a look at number 3 here. This is an officer right where Tyler Robinson shot from. And now he's on that side street right over here. Let me show you where this is. It's pretty interesting. He is on, so we've got the garage. I think that's right here. Okay, so he's on this street right here, walking this direction, and he's looking up there. So let's go ahead and click on number 3. Come down to the ground, and then right up there, you can see way up there, that is where the shooter was. And again, if you take a look at the image, there he is standing on exactly the right place. See right there? Right there. So this person found the spot where the shooter was not too long after, probably within 30 minutes or so, they're standing right there. All right, now let's go to number 4. And now this is another officer on top of a lower roof, but he's right up there. And I'll just show you where that is. Right around the corner here. So we're getting really close. The killer ran up there in that direction, kind of back like that, and then jumped off the roof. So right at the top up here is where that officer is standing. Going back to that, there it is right there. All right, then number 5. This is where Tyler Robinson actually came down right here, and he came running around right there and then lowered himself off. And let's take a look at that on Google Earth. So you go over the top of the building, and then look, right over here is where he came off the roof, just like that. And that matches this image really well.
Again.
And he, obviously dropped down. Now look how high Adam was on this hill. There's this really steep hill right there. You don't really see it in the surveillance that well, but it's definitely there. All right, now let's go to number 6. And in this one, you can see 3 people walking around on the roof, and he's still up on that high hill. His head is almost at the height of the roof. So let's go to that one. It just kind of pans slightly, and those people are right over there. So back to that image right there. And now let's go to image number 7 right there. So now the camera's panning to the left. The Lucy building's over just to the right off camera, and right there where my arrow's pointing is where that camera is. All right, so we're going to go to that one. And he's right over here, and the camera is right there, right where my mouse is spinning around on the screen. And that's the camera that filmed him walking in front of the Lucy building, and we're talking about Tyler Robinson at 12:02. He enters the building, maybe at 12:03-ish. Then he walks up the stairs at 12:15 that goes to the common area on the roof, and at 12:17 he climbs over a wall. And that camera films all of this, and it films him shooting, laying down, and the shot's fired. You're not going to see a shot because it's so far away, but he lays down, and he gets up and runs off the roof and then jumps off. That absolutely all will be on camera, okay? 100%. We got that one. So let's go to number 8. There we go. And now you can see, look how high that hill is right there. So he was filming up here, Adam was, and his head's like the height of the roof. So when Tyler Robinson jumped down, he kind of went up almost to the top, but just kind of down here. So he's going uphill when he was exiting. All right, so let's go to Google Earth and pan around to that. And here it is. He came down, and then you see the little hill right here on the right, and that's exactly where that spot is. All right, now we're going to go to number 9, and this is like exiting the area. And let's go up in the air for this one, go up here, and then maybe I'll just click on number 9, and there it is way over there. We're coming around, and as he's leaving, this position is exactly where the tunnel was when Tyler Robinson entered the area. He went in the tunnel, and then he comes out right here. And that image is this one right there. So he comes out right there, and the tunnel takes him underneath the road. And just to show you where that is, we've gone over this. There's the tunnel, and it goes underneath the road. And then once he goes underneath there, he takes a hard right, then goes up some stairs, and then goes up another set of stairs. But it's all one level down from here, and it puts him out right there. And then he comes out right there, and he walks down this little alleyway and makes his way to the front of the building, just like that, walks around, goes in the door right there, and then at 12:15 comes up these stairs, goes to this area, jumps over the wall at 12:17, spends 5 minutes there, and in that time, he constructs the rifle that was in his pants and then runs over here at 12:22. Then I think at 12:23:22 is when the shot happens, something right around that time, because at 12:23:34, he's running right in this location. And then he runs around like this and then drops off the roof, then goes up this hill over here and makes his way across the street and then goes into the woods right over here. And that's where he apparently placed the rifle and towel and changed clothes back into the maroon shirt. And maybe he left his jeans on at that point, just changed the shirt. We don't know. And then eventually he makes his way back over here through this yard and runs this direction, and then likely heads up this way because that's the direction he came from earlier. So for me, this case is really clear, but I'm going to continue to make videos and put out the reality to combat all of the crazy conspiracy nutters that are out there. It's absolutely unbelievable. All right, everybody, hope you found that part interesting.
Yeah, he's great. And so I'm going to link this video onto a comment. I'm going to pin it so that you can take a look at his other videos. And so, yeah, that's just... again, this to me is pretty straightforward. I'm so into the conspiracy theories, honestly. Like, I have looked into, I've gone down so many crazy rabbit holes, and some panned out, some didn't, and but this one I do think it's fairly straightforward regarding this. I think there's been a lot of grifting going on since then. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories out there that are making mainstream, and so. I don't know. Anyways, on that note, I will leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.